Okay, and we're back. So this unit is called international trade, or you can say foreign exchange. And we're back to PPF curves. Let's see if we remember how to read these PPF curves. Jay, can you see from back there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see that we have two countries? We have Brazil and we have China. What two products are they making? Coffee and
Right.
coffee and rice. And so, how many coffee units can Brazil make? Coffee. 12. How many rice units? 4. What about China? How many rice units can they make? I don't know. You're kind of far away. And coffee? 2. Okay, so who can produce the most amount of coffee? Brazil. Hello.
I see, yeah.
Oh, no,
The
wait.
bishop normally comes in about 10 minutes late, so I'm like.
Oh no, Bishop's sick.
Bishop is here.
Okay, so here we go. Let's try again. And let's do everybody. Everybody, who produces the most amount of rice? Who produces the most amount of coffee? Okay. And that seems like, oh, these PBF curves are a tiny bit racist. Well, think about it. Why do you think people in China eat a lot of rice? Because they have a lot of it. That's the resources that they have. They're not going to base their entire diet off a resource that they don't have. That would be silly. And so, yeah, China should specialize in only rice, and Brazil should specialize in only coffee. Does anyone know what the word for specialize means?
For a sticker?
Sure.
Specialized?
Specialize. Give us a hint. I have cancer. I'm going to go see a specialist.
Ooh!
Professional.
They studied that extra hard, that subject.
And only that one thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sticker!
I hadn't said that.
I thought it was a word.
I thought you wanted us to.
No, that is the definition.
You didn't ask. You wanted a word.
Guys, you didn't know you get sticker.
To specialize.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about a word.
You said, what does specialized mean? No, wait.
What is the word? You said, what's the word?
You said, what's another word for special?
I thought you said what to be.
Whatever. I don't know what I said. I wouldn't draw this one. We're gonna draw this one in a second, but I'll tell you when.
Okay.
So specialize means you do one thing and you focus on that one thing and you do it really well. So that's why you go see like a specialized doctor. Like if you have cancer, you're gonna go to an oncologist. You're not gonna go to your regular general doctor. You got a foot problem, you go to a podiatrist. You got brain cancer, you're gonna go to like a neurosurgeon. Okay, so hooray. So you do one thing, do one task, and you do it well. You guys know the phrase, a jack of all trades, but a master of none?
Yes.
That means you do a little bit of kind of a lot of things, but you're not great at any one particular thing. Well, economists say, no, that's stupid. Be great at one particular thing. China and Brazil should not make, they need to. If they want to do it really well and do it better, pick one and then trade for the other. Jessica? Yes. Like we're going to produce a crap ton of it, and then we'll sell it to everyone that can't produce it. There's a lot of countries that have no oil, and so they sell to them, and then hopefully trade for whatever they're good at. So do something that you're good at, do it well, hopefully get paid for it, and then trade for all the things that you don't do well. And so China doesn't make coffee well, so they should make as much rice as they can, and then trade with Brazil, who should specialize in coffee. I have no idea. So Adam Smith came up with, I'm about to write Adam Smith, but I think I can, no, I'll just switch over. Adam Smith came up with the term absolute advantage. An absolute advantage just means you can produce more, or you can produce it faster than someone else. So you can produce more, or you can produce faster than someone else. either or. Yeah, you can either produce more or you can produce it faster. And so here, Brazil has an absolute advantage in coffee, and China has an absolute advantage in rice. It's just whoever can make the most has the absolute advantage. Whoever is better at something than someone else, they have an absolute advantage. And trade used to be simple. It used to be like you're good at one thing, and then someone else is good at another. And trade is simple because then you just trade. Right. But sometimes you have this scenario where you have countries who are great at a lot of things. In fact, they might be better than almost everybody. So we have China and India making shoes and cloth, and you can put two PPF curves on the same graph as long as you label each one of them. Hey, Jess, how many shoes can China make? How many shoes can India make? Who's better making shoes? China? Okay, what about cloth? How many cloths can China make? How many cloths can India make? Who can make more cloth? China's better at both. China's better at both. So Adam Smith would say China should do everything. You can't benefit from India. You can't benefit from a third world country. He's the father of modern economics. He is the economist. Yeah, that's like.
Oh, so we should know who he is.
Just like he's a person in history that people like. Oh, Benjamin Franklin, like you know who he is, kind of.
Yeah.
Adam Smith, kind of a big name as well. No, Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations. He came up with laissez-faire and free enterprise and invisible hands. You know this.
I do not know. I've never heard that name in my life.
Yes.
Well,
No.
now you know the answer with this.
No, he did, because,
I don't think so.
yeah.
Miss Morgan must have skipped that last time.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Oh, see, and maybe you just weren't paying attention that day. I don't know.
Oh, that could be it.
That might be it.
Yeah.
So Adam Smith would say China should do everything, India can do nothing. But now we realize that Adam Smith is wrong. We realize that you can benefit from countries that you think you're better than. You can benefit from those type of people. And so let's think of a group project. You're in a group project, and you know that there's a kid in there in your group project that knows everything, is better at everything, and is super, super smart. And then there's a kid who's like really, really dumb, doesn't do anything. But you give them something to do in a group project. Like, what do you give them to do? Like,
Color.
Choosing colors. You can pick the font. And then someone in here is having like a like, I always pick the font. Oh no. But yeah, like you give them something to do. You give them a small task, but they're not going to just sit around like twiddling their thumbs and like, I can't do it. They can give them something. You give them something to do. Because you guys, whether you think you do it or not, you do. You care about comparative advantage.
What do you think each other with the chance of like this? 0%.
Good thing you didn't say Kobe.
Kobe.
Hey,
That's nice.
Okay, comparative advantage came out later. Now we realize, don't do something because you're just better at it or faster. Do it because you have the lowest opportunity cost. And so remember opportunity cost? Sticker for anyone that can remember opportunity cost, Krista?
It's what you lose because of what you choose.
Good job.
And that was your time to shine.
That's
Maybe
second.
you should get a sticker too.
Every time someone uses his saying, he should get a sticker.
Yeah.
Good job, Chris. That's fair.
It's like copyrighted now.
Yeah, you should copyright it. Do it.
Well, I got two.
Look at the
Okay.
Wait, so here's
So comparative advantage is a nation should produce whatever they have the lowest opportunity cost in. A nation should produce whatever they have the lowest opportunity cost in. And yes, opportunity cost is what you lose. Like if I produce shoes, I give up the opportunity to produce cloth. And if I produce cloth, I give up the opportunity to produce shoes. So it's whoever gives up the least. I mean, why do you think, like, real life China, not China in this example, but real life China makes all our stuff? Oh. 1,
all.
Oh my gosh.
Like, yeah. But
What? Who makes like the Nikes in China?
Children.
Children do. They work with those big heavy machineries and they're like 7 years old in sweatshops. Yeah. And they make your apple phone as well.
Oh, they make sense.
I can't be real.
Yeah, they make-
It's really
But-
good.
All they have left is their thumb, pinky, and index finger combo. And they're making your stuff with all they have left is the machine smashed on the other fingers. Is it though? Because you're still gonna buy it.
It is sad.
It is sad, but you don't feel that bad.
Okay, but wouldn't it be really bad if everyone was like, let's just stop buying stuff from China
Okay,
because
but
it's
that actually happened in the 90s. In the 90s, people got all upset, it's basically like a whole bunch of soccer moms that need like a job. There's a whole bunch of soccer moms that were like, let's boycott Nike, we have sweatshops, and they have their children. Okay, you know those children chose to work there, which means that was like a good opportunity for them. And so when a whole bunch of people for like 2 years, they boycotted Nike, and they're like, we're not going to wear Nike. Well, Nike lost a whole bunch of money. And they had to close down a whole bunch of the sweatshops, which means that kid with the pinky thumb index combo, you know what they had to turn to? Prostitution. They had to turn to child prostitution. And you're all like, yeah, like as awful as that is, that's what they turned to. So that was what they were giving up. They were giving up the opportunity to be a child prostitute, which is probably a good thing, when they decided to make your Nike and Apple products. And so, and yeah, they also lost their fingers. Of course. Yeah, well, I mean. Okay.
At 12, losing a couple.
Yes, but here's the thing. Children make those shoes. What could they have done instead besides being a child prostitute? Probably not. A lot of those kids don't have opportunity to go to, like, the reason that they're in the sweatshops is they don't have an opportunity to go to school. The rich kids that have that opportunity, kids in the fields are not going to have that. So they're not missing out on too much. They're not missing out on education. They're not going to be a doctor. They're not going to be a lawyer. They're not going to be an engineer.
So you're saying don't care about sweatshops?
I'm saying that if an American kid was to be in there, they're giving up an opportunity of a decent education, the ability to go to school, the ability to become a doctor and a lawyer and an engineer. The kids in like rural China aren't giving up much. That's why they make this stuff. Not because they're cheap, but because what are they really giving up to be there? Not much. What are you giving up to be there? A lot. You would be giving up a lot to work in a sweatshop. They are not. They're giving up child prostitution. That's what they're giving up. So, yeah, economics. That story was brought to you by Freakonomics, written by these two guys.
Was it actually?
Yeah, it's one of the
Both of the names
chapters.
are Steven,
Both their names are Stephen.
and they spell it each both ways.
Stephen and Stefan.
But like, there's like, the whole book is about unintended consequences of choices, of like economic choices that you think is going to go one way when it really goes a completely different way. And the chapters, this is really interesting. Each chapter is about a different topic. But like, who was it? Someone last class where they said they read it, and I said, oh yeah, there's like an elementary school. They were like, all the kids were being picked up late by their parents, and the teachers were having to wait there for their parents to come pick them up. So the school was like, you know what, we're going to charge. If they're late 10 minutes, we're going to charge $5, and $5 for every time. And what happened is people came even later, because they were all like, well, I'm paying you to stay late. And so instead of being like an incentive to get them to come earlier, it was an incentive that completely went the opposite way. And that's economics, is a study of like consequences of choices and costs of our choices. So, good book. They have a podcast as well.
Okay, I was.
And they have a sequel, Super Freakonomics. It's good. I enjoy Freakonomics better.
I like podcasts. I like one just for that.
Yeah.
Proper.
So we don't really care about. China can get help from India. They can get help, and we know that now. So next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, we're going to have a major grade FRQ over this. Okay, so I will give it to you. Yeah, and your binder too. We have probably, I'm going to give this to you in this form, and ask you to draw it in this form as part of the question. So just know that this is the same information. I could give it to you in this way, or I could give it to you in this way. Shoes and cloth, shoes, cloth. 312, 312, 25, 25. Actually, yeah. I won't count off if you have an increasing opportunity cost curve, but for the most part, when we talk about comparative and absolute advantage, they have a constant DCF curve. I don't know why that's an assumption that we make, but in every textbook that I've ever seen about this, there was a constant DCF curve, and I haven't cared enough to figure out why. I just okay, math. So we're gonna use this table for like the next 3 days. So I'm gonna give you some time to copy this table down.
That example?
That example. You don't have to copy the graph. If you want to, you can do a quick little sketch. But we're gonna go off of the table from now on. After you copy that little table, I want you to do a T-chart for the rest of your notes down. Like the rest of the page. A T-chart. Big T-chart. So this book, one of my favorite chapters in this book, is it studied common names, like names that are common in the United States, and it says that you can guess based on the spelling of your name how rich your parents are and how educated your parents are just by your name.
Oh, there's a kid in our school district named Baby Boy. What level?
Okay, you just put something right under the bus.
We don't know if they're
The most common low-income white girl names.
Jessica's on there.
Most common low-income white girl name in order. Ashley.
Aww.
Jessica.
Yep.
Amanda, Samantha, Brittany, Sarah, Kayla, Amber, Megan, Taylor, Emily, Nicole, Elizabeth, Heather, Alyssa, Stephanie, Jennifer, Hannah, Courtney, and Rebecca. I have not heard my name yet. Woo! Let's go, Maddie. Ashley was the most low income. It just has zero incomes for richest. Hold on, sir. I have high income.
Yeah.
20 white girl names with the best high income. So their parents, it actually has the average number of years their parents were in school, 16 years. What is that? That's a college graduate. What?
It says white girl.
Yeah, it actually says 20 white girl names. Because there's also it's like the most popular black boy names, most popular black girl names. But for high education, I don't even know how to say some of these. Lucien, Marie Claire, Beatrix, Clementine, Philippa.
Okay.
Claire.
This is like
So-
rich.
It's rich. It's like I read like Shakespeare. Oh, and this person was like, oh, that was a fairy in a Shakespeare tale or something. Like you're very well read. And like, oh, these people, Waverly. And Eleanor. I like that, Eleanor.
Eleanor, let's just press the Beatles.
Eleanor Shillstrop.
Keep it please. Okay, so did everyone have this? Everyone have this? Okay.
Oh, you want us to write that?
You can, but you can just do this. Your big T-chart needs to be input on one side and output on the other.
Okay.
Okay. Input and output. What, Hannah?
Maybe okay will be always.
No.
Okay, Miss Taylor.
What do you want?
Can I borrow
Carter? You want to borrow?
Carter.
Yes.
Get slower. Okay. All right. So I don't know what those numbers mean in that table. That table has got 3, 12, 2, 5. There's no title of what those numbers mean. Okay, Joseph. Those numbers are tons made. Tons. Okay, so how many tons can China make of shoes?
3.
Joseph.
Oh, sorry.
How many tons can India make? Who can make the most tons? What about cloth? Who makes the most tons? China's better, it looks like. Well, if it was tons. Shay, those aren't tons anymore. That's hours. hours it takes to make shoes and hours it takes to make cloth. How many hours does it take China to make shoes?
3 hours.
How many hours does it take India to make shoes?
2 hours.
Who makes shoes the fastest?
India.
Wait, okay, so China wins if this is tons, but India wins if this is hours. Hey, Shay, who does cloth faster?
India.
Okay, so if we're looking at this as like, this is tons produced, well, China wins. If this is the number of hours it takes to make, well then India is faster. So determining what those numbers mean completely changes the question. And if you can't determine whether that's hours made, or hours it takes to make, or tons made, then every question you do from then on out is wrong. Because you need to know what these numbers mean. Is this an input problem or an output problem? So if it's an input problem, then this is Shay's example. That's the number of hours it takes to do a job. That's the number of gallons of paint I need to paint a house. That's the number of acres I need to feed one horse. And so this is the number of resources. In the table, fewer resources is best. Number of acres to feed a horse. Fewest acres, the most efficient land. Fewest number of paint cans, cheaper it's going to be. Yes, these numbers represent great. Good job. You meant it. This is the number of FOPs. Those numbers in the table are FOPs. They're inputs. They're resources. I want a small number because that means you're the most efficient. That means you're the fastest. If that's hours, India wins for both because 2 hours is less than 3. 5 hours is less than 12. So when it comes to who has an absolute advantage, remember how we said you can produce more or you can produce it the fastest? Well, if this is speed, if this is resources, it's India for both. For shoes, India is faster. And for cloth, India is faster. So absolute advantage in shoes is India. And for cloth, absolute advantage is I am faster than China. I think India is faster than China. So when it comes to absolute advantage here, it's India because they're fastest. They can produce with the fastest hours. I can do the same project with fewer resources. That's what I'm saying. It could be an input problem, but it could also be an output problem. That's not number of hours anymore. It's back to Joseph's example. This is the number of tons produced. This is what they are making. This is what they are output production. And so this is the number of tons per acre, This is the number of miles driven per gallon. The number of words typed per minute. The number of apples grown per tree. This is what is being produced. It's the amount produced. Now China's best because they can produce more. If that is tons produced, China's better at shoes and cloth. Those numbers mean completely different things if we're talking about input versus output. So once again, for absolute advantage, it's who can produce the most. In this case, well, it's China for both. Because they can produce more of both. If you can't distinguish input and output, all your answers are going to be wrong. Because you'll be looking at those numbers with a wrong frame of mind. No pressure, but we're going to have 3 days of practice. And then some. Are we okay? You're so hungry. Okay, here's what we're going to do. It's good to be able to recognize them, but it's also good to make them up on your own. So just a second. We're going to get in pairs. So right now you can have your eyes dart around the room. Go ahead. Do your hi, do your hey, it's you and me, do your hello. Here's the thing about eye contact. When you both make it, you both know. You can't pretend that you didn't have eye contact because the other one knows.
So if you don't make eye contact.
Okay. All right. I have a input example over here and an output example over there. I'm gonna do one first. You tell me if it's input or output. Okay. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much
Wood could a wood produce? Is output. Because I would like a woodchuck that chucks the most amount of wood. The more woodchuck per woodchuck, the better production. The more woodchuck per woodchuck. The more woodchuck by each woodchuck, the more woodchuck is chucked. No, that's a okay. So that's going to be output because I want the most amount of wood chucked per woodchuck. The more woodchuck, the better woodchuck.
That's tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. Just that.
The more wood.
How
Chuck wood.
much wood could a woodchuck chuck? Okay.
How much wood?
No, WCA, that's my.
Whatever.
With a woodchuck?
Okay. Obviously, my next example is going to be input, but my next example is how many blondes does it take to screw in a light bulb? The fewer number of blondes, the more resourceful those blondes are. Did you get that, Anna?
I'd like to say I'm pretty resourceful.
Okay. I'm surprised you know if you know what that word is. Okay, so how many blondes? What am I writing? Blondes. Does it take?
You get to the center of a tootsie pop.
Yes. How many licks does it take? Okay, now that one's taken. Now we can do that one. But how many licks does it take to get to the center of the tootsie pop? The fewer number of clicks, the more resourceful those licks are. So how many blondes does it take to screw in light bulb? There you go.
Wait, so I can't use that anymore?
No, that was
He can use it for.
I feel like he should be able to use it.
You came up with it.
okay. Fine, you can use that. So I want you to find a friend, and then hold on. You guys are going to talk to each other about an example of input and an example of output, and then you're going to split up to save time. Of like one of you does the output example and write it. One of you writes the input example. Mark it right here. You have 5 minutes. Go.
Let's do output.
Well, write your input example.
I'm getting it. I think you have a 30 seconds.
Yes. Okay. So those numbers could be so many different things. If that's the number of hours it takes to do something, then it's 2 hours versus 3 Indian 5 hours versus 12 Indian faster. So India has an absolutely or is that no, that's what they're making. This is the tons produced. 3 tons is more than 2 tons. 12 tons is more than 5 tons. And so in China, yes, if this is hours, then India is better than faster. If this is tons, then China is better because they can produce more. So what do those numbers mean? It could be an input or an output. Do it. Prove all the tracers. Hurry up, Joe, hurry up. 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Wait, what's the third thing?
There you go.
It's a fine number.
The less resources.
Apples grows for free. I mean, that's the probability.
So if it says,
I don't even know what I'm writing.
Nathan, actually, think of another one. Think about it.
But every time it's like,
No, think of another one. Come on, another one. What did you say? Do it. Nathan's there.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's you, but it's not you. And I don't have it actually in me. Wait, what's your actual name? It's like Jonathan's seven heads. I don't know why I added it.
No, I like purple.
You gotta apply for something.
screenshot.
What's up, Jay?
It's usually
Yeah, so. Molly, you wrote your song.
Nathan.
What'd you write, Otis? Oh, God.
What'd you write?
Oh, my God. Yeah, so good.
2 more minutes, guys. 2 more minutes.
You actually wrote that, Otis?
Yeah.
Someone misspelled the word efficient.
How do you misspell the word?
There you go.
Just do me a favor, it's $20.
Isn't it AFS?
I don't know. I don't know which one yours is.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I can't judge you to your face. I'll just judge you behind.
I keep looking at.
Well, you're gonna know which one's harder.
We'll see.
I look at these pictures now. Last year, I had like no clue like half of them. This year, I feel like, oh, so you want to? I feel like. But I felt like I knew them all last year.
No, don't write it.
Weber's
I'm
law.
trying to think of something to do.
I don't remember that. I remember that.
It's not about the amount changed. It's about the percentage.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
All right, 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Write like the wind, people. Write like the wind. Sorry, you're making me nervous.
Oh, okay, so it'd be how many steps?
Just, you want to just add for.
I really
Hi, Hannah. How you doing?
Okay, so this one,
Hold on.
this
No,
one,
I don't want
this one we focus on resource. Okay,
Yes.
okay, and that one, okay, so she said how many
What
trees
do I
does
do
it
this?
make a stop? That one would be how many stops of paper can I make with one tree?
Yes. 30 more minutes. 30 more minutes.
That's the opportunity cost.
How many would you take again instead of two roll? I thought it was coffee. I was like, no, it's roll, it's roll. So I'm like, yeah, I really just two coffee. How many two center?
Nathan, what are you putting for output?
I don't know yet.
That's funny. Where is it?
Oh.
For what?
She's so quick to defend.
Oh, God.
What is the time of life?
Nathan, leave it out.
Okay, let's go. Finish up.
Oh, I really wrote how much intelligence.
That's so high.
What is it?
Yes, but it says how many intelligence. Yes.
The second to the last one.
Intelligence, I don't know what that is. Mileage.
Did you do output or input?
Yeah, how much miles can you put down? Okay.
Oh, that's weird.
Miles per gallon. That's outside.
I did. Okay. Nope. Bad idea.
Oh, it's
Okay. All right, let's see how we did. All right, so we're looking for the smallest number. The smallest number wins. because that means you're the most efficient. You require fewer resources than anybody else, fewer inputs than anybody else. How many lists does it take to get to center? That is correct. Up a Tootsie Roll, pop. That is correct.
Yes.
How efficient? How efficient is it to walk the first run in a marathon? That doesn't make any sense.
I messed up on my words. That was me. I couldn't think.
Okay, so I would say how many steps? How many steps or how many paces or something?
Specific?
Yeah.
I thought you would ask
Well,
The number in the table has to answer this question. Like, if the number is steps, okay. Then it's like how many steps to run in a marathon. The fewer steps means like the longer strides and the more efficient you're walking. So it needs to be reworked. Okay, how much leather to use to make boots? The fewest leather, the more efficient. How many bullets does it take to kill Hitler? Just the one. Just the one. Yeah. But fewer bullets, the more efficient.
So we're very efficient.
Well, he's very efficient. He did it himself. Okay. The number of pens used to fill up a paper. The fewer number of pens, the more efficient, I guess, the pens are. Number of gallons per gas. Yep. Number of kids it takes to build a wall. Fewer kids, the more efficient of kids. Number of meatballs needed for spaghetti. Fewer meatballs, more efficient meatballs. How many Mexicans does it take to climb over a wall? The fewest number, the more efficient they are. He meant to wrote that, so it's okay. How many trees does it take to... Wait, how many trees does it take to make a stack of paper? The fewer the trees, the more efficient the trees. How many chefs does it take to make a turkey sandwich? Chef to make a turkey sandwich? Yes, that's chefs. That would be more efficient. How many weeks to build a house? How much mileage I can get per gallon of gas or whatever? How many minutes does it take to complete a mad minute? The fewer number of minutes. So a mad minute. Oh, I hated those mad minutes. I think we all learned test anxiety.
Oh my gosh.
The timetable is like 2 times 1, 2 times 2.
I like those.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
And you have to go through all the
I always put up an ice.
Now we're wanting the bigger numbers. Bigger numbers means that I am producing the most amount. I have the most output. I can make more than you. How many eggs can a chicken produce? The more the better. How many pumpkins per patch? The more the better. How many
Soccer moms.
soccer moms per...
CP.
Soccer mom seems like a resource you need, so that's going to be an input problem. Okay. How many sheets of paper produced by one tree? The more the sheets, the better the tree. How many grapes per vine? The more the grapes, the better output of the vine. How many walls can each child build? The more the walls, the better the worker. How many pages can you write in one class period? The more, the better, the faster you are. How many pages per tree? The more, the better. How many How many seashells can Sally sell by the seashore? The more, the better. How many words can you type per minute? The more, the better. How many paper airplanes can you build? The more, the better. How many fingers lost per workshop? The more, the better. It works, but unfortunately, I would say
It's not better.
it's not better.
Or like that.
Or so like I win.
I wrote how many bullets.
No, I just like
how many.
You got both?
Okay.
And there's like 2 kids just crying.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to quickly, before I forget, and it'll just run into like later on
You're
today.
still recording, I think.
Yes, I know. Thank you for joining us, kids. It's a shame you weren't here. Have a fantastic day. Also, don't forget to smash that like button and turn on notifications so you can
Subscribe.
stay subscribe.